welcome back, everybody, and we're ready to go into the second game of today's Nocturnal Prospect Cup. Myself, Big Hungry Phil, Lafont, still with you, and Lafont, we've got Rising Stars Avoided up against Company 8 today. What's that looking like?
Well, I mean, this is, again, looking to confirm that perfect, another match where a team is looking to confirm their perfect streak through their group stage here, this time on the eastern side of things, as Avoided are currently 6-0, so they can go for the perfect 7-0. They will lock themselves up rather at number one seed here in the Eastern group. And I mean, on the other side of things, we have a team that's fighting for their playoff hopes.
Quite right. Very, very close. Currently a four-way tie for third place here. And so Company 8 kind of need a standout performance here to separate themselves from the rest of the pack and secure that playoff slot. And this is a really rough matchup for them. Company 8 on 3-3, Avoided again on that 6-0 lineup. Really, Company 8 to secure that playoff spot wanted any other team here than Avoided. So they've got a sizable mountain to climb if they want to lock in that playoff spot.
They do. And I mean, this is one of the interesting things about this side of the bracket on the eastern side of things is that we, as you said, there is three people tied for fourth. It is that fourth place spot that does make playoffs. And I mean, there is a very real scenario where after today, after all those games are played out, that we will still have a three-way tie for that fourth place. So certainly something to keep your eyes on in terms of standings. But here, I mean, the first step, of course, for Company 8 is to at least try and play up to Avoided, who are, I think, pretty easily recognizable as the best team on this side of the bracket.
That's right, and they're continuing in that long tradition of one-trick teams and the likes of OT Pog, Clockwork Vendetta, No You, OTP, that have traditionally been very difficult for meta teams to learn to counter, certainly at the beginning of seasons. By the time people have had a lot of tape to watch and games under the bag, they tend to learn how to make this work, but don't know if we're quite yet there for Company 8 as we move into our first map. Control, of course, how we always start, and going over to Lijiang Tower, Lafont.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we'll have to see how the first round opens up, because with Avoided, you never know quite what you're going to get, right? This is a team that can really come out and surprise you. Even with their hero selections as their main, even the way they play can always be a bit of an odd choice. So opening up the gates, we are going to start off on Lijiang Tower. And I mean, if it's of Company 8 playing up to Avoided style, as Baemon Phantom throws himself off the map, but Company 8 running the Junkrat Pharah here, double spam.
Very interesting. Probably pretty useful if you're going against the double shield, but obviously they're not running into that right now. There's the Aquamarine picking up the Pharah. Normally, that's Aquamarine on the Junkrats. So, yeah, kind of weird position across the board here for Avoided, but kind of a loose cannon of a team anyway. Bastion main looking to make his way back to the point, but we're already one player down. Sets himself up on the bridge, looking for the second there onto Vega. Not going to find it. Rez will come through here. And Charge not going to connect, but it will send Ham and Maid into the drain.
Ham and Maid on the Sigma, so that's a bit of a little turn of affairs there. But, I mean, a great play at the end there, at least, to not give the ult charge to Pwn as he gets charged off the map. This is now going to actually be a really difficult retake for Avoided, as they have to kind of burst through sort of the damage and just area control that Company 8 is kind of providing. It's going to have to start with a pick off here on the Pharah Mercy.
They really need to be winning out this Pharah duel if you're Aquamarine to stand a chance of getting in here. We'll see Bastion main ready to slowly inch his way forward behind shields, hiding the damage as and when somebody presents the hitbox to them. Happy to play it slow for now, although that has not worked out well for Aquamarine, who is now out of the fights.
Yeah, there's certainly some room coming through. Here's that Amplification Matrix, and Bastion main gets taken down instantly as a result.
Yeah, we'll get Rez back into the fight, but Gangster is still here and has the barrage ready to go. We see Baemon Fanwon coming out with the minefield straight off. Ham and Main gets the flux off, but not before the barrage comes out. Aquamarine, Ham and Main able to get two back here onto Dagbag and keep themselves in this fight. Reyes is still going to come through here from Vegas, so all that hard work now undone. And we are rounding 73% of the point cap here for Company 8 and avoided shut out so far. Bastion main with a pop-up on the ult, can't find anything with it. And it's starting to look a little bit rocky here for Avoided.
Yeah, I think Avoided has to find a pick off here that's going to stick because the Resurrect have been there. And with Pwn with the Shatter, walk around the corner.
Yeah, beautiful shield comes out, those slots that connecting. First two pieces of ordnance fired in at once, the Riptide and the Self-Destruct. 2 picks already as the res comes back through, 99%, and nobody really at the point for Avoided in significant numbers. Fame 1, Fan 1 already down low, will get the isolation. Take his opponent out of the fight, but Gangster still up in this. Country Boy is able to find Bastion main. Aquamarine looking for something here with the barrage, looking for anything with the barrage. We'll get one, but too little, too late here. Gangster will take Aquamarine out and looking like a cap here for Company 8.
That's going to be 100-0 too. And this is not a comp that has really a lot of retake potential unless you clutch hard from Unavoided side, right? Whereas Company 8, they get that early read, get the takedown onto the members rushing in, and as a result, you're going to take the round. So Company 8 starting up on Avoided's, taking a look at Avoided's side and saying, well, that's quite the series of events.
It's kind of interesting that, one of the reasons why we didn't see Avoided do as well as we were expecting them to is that they weren't running their signature heroes. And we have had a swap back here now. Nolan going over onto the Moira, Aquamarine on the Junkrat, so maybe we see them a little bit more characteristic here in this one.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of frontline pressure here from Company 8's side of things. We're going to get a quick pause in here. And
yeah. Sorry, Lafon, talking right over you. We have, of course, got a small technical pause. We'll update you on the reason for that as and when we find out what that is. Looks like we might have had a DC from somebody, so we'll try and get it ironed out and get back into the game with you ASAP. Lafon, it's kind of hard, I think, to try and analyze the Avoided comp because it's not like it's built around a lot of synergy. What is it about a team like this that can make what they're doing work?
And I mean, I think Avoided will be the first to tell you exactly why they run this composition. Anything I say here will be stuff they've said themselves. So take that at face value. But this composition has no synergy. There's nothing about this composition that makes sense. There's nothing about this composition that is particularly good at what it claims to do. What is, however, its sort of saving grace is that these players are really good at these characters they choose to play, right? So that is probably the first step amongst it. And if you're just mechanically better at the thing that you're running, especially if an opposing team doesn't know how to deal with it, then there's not really, then it's tough to draw up counters to it. We saw this with Clockwork Vendetta in European contenders, right? Like that's why Clockwork Vendetta was so good. The players were so good at their selections that teams that tried to play out to it didn't really have a way of dealing with it. And the other thing is that you can't draw up a counter comp against the composition that has no counter, because to kind of counter comp something, the composition has to make sense to begin with. Yeah. These compositions are so all over the place in terms of its stylistic sort of idea that the best way to describe this is Avoided is playing a ranked game, and ranked is the antithesis of coordinated gameplay.
Okay, well, looks like we've got our game back up and ready, all reconnected and ready to go. Looks like this might be an easy first cap here for Avoided, as it was Company 8 that had that DC. Although, a couple of kills coming through now. Who's opposed to those now? Nominate able to get a couple of kills. Vega bringing the race back in. Hammerman will get the pick on that one, but again, it just looks to be too little too late, and this is really not the performance we were expecting from Avoided.
Yeah, I mean, this is some really, actually, Company 8's Junkrat here, Miro has been doing a great job, Moro rather, has been doing a great job of shutting down a lot of these flanks with the Junkrat and hitting some very good directs with the primary fire, and then obviously finishing it off with the concussive mine. So this Junkrat providing a lot of value, and without any real way to kind of deal with him behind his shield, you're kind of relying on a hero pick from someone on Avoided's side. Again, a lot of Avoided's gameplay has to be on hero plays on these large flanks. Bane1 perhaps coming in with a displacement on the Hammond, or getting a hook off from Hammond main. That's kind of what you're looking for here.
We'll see the Riptide coming out. looking for something, looking for anything, and maybe struggling a little bit to find that target. Goes out without being able to find anybody. Avoided doing a very good job there of making themselves guess. Lono's going to be coming through on the flank, looking for a pick. It's going to be Bastion main that starts to open things up here for Avoid. Rez still there for Vega, but brings themselves right into the line of fire of Bastion main, and Avoided have found a way to make this happen on the back of a cheap couple of picks from Bastion main.
And again, it's getting into a flank position. You can see Avoided are literally all playing in a circle around the point. There is no one direction that Avoided are coming through, and with that chaos, there's no way to protect from every angle. And unfortunately, Company 8 don't ever find a true pickoff.
Oh, that was fun. Whose toes are those? Did not expect to see the Hammond in that. Baby1 does take a bit of damage on the way through, though. Has to get out fairly quickly. And Bastion main went for the reposition of the high ground. Did not expect Gangster to be there with Barrage. Still looking for an additional trade as Hammond main looking to come around the back and look for an additional pick. But once more, the Junkrat, too big a threat here for them to really deal with. Still keeping control of the point for now, but looking increasingly ropey as Who's Close Those will have the self-destruct ready to go, but might not even need that here as we get the run down onto Nolan.
I was gonna say something I really like from Company 8 is their patience and respect of the composition that Avoided is running, but there you can see Whose Toes Are Those gets a little too aggressive.
The second Riptire of the game. We've got another one, the third coming through there from... sorry, I keep forgetting the Korean pronunciation. I'll get that at some point. We'll find one pick. Inbin not able to get the immortality without quickly to keep themselves in this fight. And that's going to be a one-man advantage now for Avoided, but at 99 to 19, they've got to get in and make this work. As we see another pick come through onto Nolan, this is looking like it's going to be a 2-0 here for Company 8. The Marine starting to punch back, but the res is still there for Vega, bringing Gangster back into the fight, who's closing in and having another barrage here. Down to BameOne fan to try and keep that spin cycle going, but the target focus is there to keep him out. No touch there for Avoided, and a map for Company 8.
A very good start for Company 8 there, as complete dominance across both stages that we saw from them here on Lijiang Tower. As despite having a player of the game, Avoided unable to find any real purchase in this map.
And I do wonder if it's because we're not seeing the double shield Genji poke coming out from Company 8. It is something that, even if it doesn't quite match toe for toe what Avoided are running, provides a lot more of that consistent damage that Avoided have.
Yeah, and I mean, this is this is from Company 8, a sort of, if we can't beat them, join them look, right? I mean, if you don't feel that you're comfortable in the mirror, then just go in with a composition that is equally as chaotic as what Avoided have kind of brought to the table, and I think has a difference in the sense that we have to say it was double projectile, it was double spam, the Pharah Junkrat, and against no shield, the Junkrat's going to get a lot more value in just health damage, and of course the concussive mines, and putting a trap in the right place can really deny a Hammond sort of an entry, right? And that makes things just a lot more difficult. And of course, then if your Roadhog isn't getting a hook and confirming a kill, then suddenly you're now in essentially a 5v6 scenario where the Junkrat and Pharah can just rain down damage, and there's not really much you can do to kind of counter it out. So Company 8 with a reasonable response, I think, to what Avoided were running, and as a result, take map number 1 in very, very controlling fashion.
I feel like maybe one of the problems we're going to have with Avoided, and this is a different roster than we're used to seeing them run in EU, where they have the likes of Minimi, who's used to playing a shield-based tank hero. For this particular iteration of Avoided, BameOne, FAM1, and Hammond main, they're both Hammond mains. They're both Wrecking Ball players. So anything that either of these two guys swap onto is not going to be their optimal pick. And of course, you can't run 2 Wrecking Balls in these compositions. So I feel like they're not intentionally, but accidentally hamstringing themselves here by having 2 players who have that as the specialization.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I mean, this composition, like, we've all seen this particular duo of tanks run. I don't mean the players, I mean literally the tank selections in our games, and we all know how synergistic they are. as their name kind of suggests, or the name that is given to it, the colloquial
the name
term
that cannot be spoken on broadcast. Yeah,
certainly, yes. And so I think you kind of saw a taste of it in this game. Like, sure, the Hammond is providing a lot of disruption, but then who's providing the sustain? Who's providing that front line? And it's not the Roadhog, because the Roadhog is by necessity more of a flanker without a partner like an Orisa. So I would agree with the assessment that running the Wrecking Ball Roadhog is not a composition that Avoided technically want to dive into, but perhaps one that they are forced to.
So what sort of adaptations do we think Avoided can make coming into this next map, which is going to be King's Row, our hybrid map for tonight, that's going to allow them to get the upper hand on Company A? Or are we expecting them just to brute force this approach and hope for the best?
Yeah, I think brute force is it's Avoided, so brute force is definitely the path they're going to take. I would not be surprised to see them tricking human, but I think there is certainly things that can be a little bit more efficiently done to get them a little bit more value. One, there was clearly no hit scan run in the entirety of that map by Company 8, so perhaps something that can outrange the Junkrat and make the Junkrat's life miserable is a start. Bastion main, for all the hit scan prowess he had, was unable to deal with the Pharah because of how much spam came in through from the Junkrat. So perhaps focusing on that target, allowing Bastion main to get into position on the flank, get that damage throughput, and that's where Avoided would take the next step. And I think that's kind of where you have to look for an upgrade in playstyle, if you will, or an adaptation in playstyle from Avoided. After what is frankly not a close map number 1.
Very one-sided map number 1 indeed. We're now loaded into our next map and ready to go. It's going to be Company 8 on the defense, and more of the same from these guys with this Junkrat Pharah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you can't ever get the Bastion in position to kind of take that play, there's no way to really deal with a Pharah Mercy pocket. So I don't, and the Junkrat's providing so much spam on the front line that you have to really appreciate what Muro is bringing to the table.
For Avoided, coming out on Sigma Zarya, another thing that we see an awful lot of here. Let's see if they can find a way to make that work. Already a lot of damage on Tomorrow. Go to backup and recover from that. And Gangster just kind of has free reign here. Able to just pile on the damage. And of course, if you run yourself into the line of fire of the Bastion, you're always going to have a bad time as the Pharah here. So Gangster and Pwn both down already. And this is now looking very doable here for Avoided.
And I mean, this is what we kind of highlighted as being how you have to get an advantage is, can you get your Bastion in position to deal with the throughput? And the Zarya Sigma combination allows them to get in position to get Bastion main into a corner where he has the immortality field, and then obviously able to burst down the Pharah, no question. So that's the opening up for the point. And the first percentage that has been really gained, any significant percentage that's been gained by Avoided in this match so far.
Bastion main able to set up once more. In been taken out though, so Bastion main now without that ball healing available to him is gonna have to make a hasty retreat here as Pwn comes up on the Earth Shadow. And looking pretty good here in the kill feed for Company A. Shatter comes out, not entirely sure who he thought he was aiming for there. Will find the flare strike and take Nova out of it, so good performance on that, even if the Shadow didn't land maybe quite where he wanted. This has been such a good retake here from Company A. They're looking to stuff up Avoided ASAP.
And I mean, they're going to, with Aquamarine going down. You're kind of looking at Bastion main as being a hero, but he's already taking so much damage on the entry.
Struggle to get out and can't get anything done with that ultimate. Buys a little bit of space, but now we know exactly where he is with the Riptide. But 2 picks already coming through from Nolan and Bane 1, Fan 1. And Pwn going down here is huge, but more with the hero play is able to get 2 here. And gets the 3rd. Vega brings Gangster back in. And Moro on the back of 2-3 phenomenal picks might have just solidified this defense for Company 8.
Yeah, Moro's been doing a fantastic job on this Junkrat across the 2 maps to kind of be a stabilization factor for Company 8. And I mean, as the Moira gets chased down, Nolan could be sent back to spawn. Now you're looking at a position, if you're Avoided, is, this is all about now dumping resources in to break through this choke point.
Aquamarine's closing in on having this Riptide. That could be particularly useful, but it's got to be timed just right around that immortality field. Amplification, Matrix out for Invin as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade, tank for tank, with Hammond main both going down. Bastion main able to get in, pile some damage underneath the barrage. but a beautiful dive in from whose toes are those to throw in the defense matrix and protect him. Gangster now trapped up on the high ground, not maybe what he was expecting. Grounded by the trap, and they finally break their way through of the choke. It's going to be the D-Mech looking for that final kill through onto Country Boy, and Avoided get it moving.
Such a messy fight, though, for Avoided in terms of what they had to use, right? I don't think they expect that to be nearly as expensive as it was, so good stall from Company 8. Now, I mean, you still have the Riptire here from Aquamarine, and as long as you can dodge the bullets and the Immortality Field of Country Boy, I think this is something that they're going to try to use to close out the second point before the fight even starts.
Well, on the high ground, 2 seconds left to go in. Might have just overcooked it, but we'll find the pick. Gangster's down. Got to assume Vega has the res ready to bring Gangster back into this one. There it is. But they've got to get this contest going because we are meters away from a cap onto point B. Here's Morrow with the tire. Amplification Matrix, Immortality Field, both up as well. We're cooking that tire nice and long. Hammered main down. Bastion main down. And Company 8, they retake control of the cards.
Yep, and now caught in no man's land is Game 1 as Rosaria stuck behind enemy lines. And oh, I mean, Inman takes down Gangsta with the default 3-tap.
Yeah, Nolan made the swap over to the Ana, already has the Nana boost ready to go. Bastion main is going to have the configuration tank as well. That spells a lot of damage if you compare those two together.
You certainly can. I mean, there's a lot of denial available if you have the defense matrix in its face, right? So I think what they're going to do is they're going to flank with this window and
Amplification Matrix, Immortality Field, a lot thrown into this. Company 8 doing a great job here of making themselves scarce. Inbin looking to get the spray onto Vega and take them out, but that's not going to happen. Self-destruct with the 2K into the back, but who's closing those? And Company 8 coming out ahead once again, even with 2+ ults invested there from Avoided.
And Vasimane gets pinned up, charged up in the air, and then gets hit by the hammer. So that's pretty funny. I mean, the kite there on the window, on the amplification matrix combined with the Bastion's damage, it's pretty stellar from Company 8. They basically just walk around the corner, and that's an ult wasted for Bastion main, or well, for Invin in Bastion main's favor. And I mean, Company 8 has now brought themselves back into a pretty decent situation. You're looking at a defensive amplification matrix here as Country Boy in the backline.
Start things out with the Graviton Surge. Did manage to lock up the D.Va around the back, but might not have been enough. You really wanted to combo that with something slightly more damaging. Aquamarine is not going to have the chance to throw this in. We're now down to under a minute here, and Avoid is starting to find some picks here. Country Boy, both supports now down. Bastion made an Aquamarine between them. Have found a lot of work here. Gangster gets too close to the Concussive Mine and gets blown up for his trouble. And we're looking at a cap here on point B for Avoid.
Yeah. Aquamarine basically playing shotgun explosives as it gets nano boosted in close and takes down the front line alongside some help. And I mean, that helps Avoided take that point, so they're not, time bank is not expired yet, but certainly working at a time bank disadvantage, Avoided, as Hammond main playing on the flank here with the signal.
We're going to see Morris starting things off with a Riptire of their own away in the cubby. Out and about, won't find anything except the Roadhog, who can, of course, take a breather his way through that. Here's Aquamarine's answering salvo here with the Riptire in top window. Looking to get through the amplification matrix. We'll find a pick onto Pone, putting them into 5v6 territory. Bastion main, in the meantime, has been able to set themselves up on the back ledge here. We've got 2 picks already. Looking to get set up on the cart. Now as the D-Mech comes through onto whose foes are those. Morrow now caught out, in trouble, half health. Focus down, ducking and diving. Can't make it work just yet. Will just almost escape from that, but Bastion main with the rocket from the configuration tank takes him out of it. Now under a minute to go, and Avoided with momentum on their side.
There is still a recontest available here for Company 8, though, and remember, there was 1 player taken down, so self-destruct comes over.
1-for-1 trade. The res back up, Gangster taking them back into the fight here. Amplification Matrix and Nano Boost here from Nolan to try and just super duper power here the Bastion, who gets the configuration tank on board and ready to go. With the DMX come through, cooking the tire here from Morrow. Up onto the high ground, finds the Immortality Field, knocks them down. No harm, no foul, just get onto that one. Aquamarine trying to close the distance, but with Bastion main down, the spear is gone, and we're under 20 seconds here for Avoid.
And Country Boy in the backline is doing so much work on the high ground, taking down 2, and with 10 seconds remaining, you're looking at Company 8 preventing the full cap.
We'll see the Hammond spin cycle momentarily set up before Barrage finds the pick. God is going into overtime. We'll see the contest now starting to come through. Aquamarine needs to come up in a significant way here to make this happen. We'll find Pone. Might not be able to turn the tides here as we've already lost Inbin, who was back in on the Lucia. But Bastion swap over onto the Widowmaker is uncontested because they cannot afford to give him any focus whatsoever here. And they managed to brute force their way through in overtime.
The Nano Boost comes in at the last moment to keep players alive, and across the board, HP was dropping so very low there for Avoided, but as you said, just enough long-lasting resources to get past. And the contest I think there from Invin on the Lucio was spectacular to continue the overtime block, and then the trickle came in and obviously pickoffs enough to force off people from the cart. That Riptire, a big difference maker.
Absolutely, and I kind of want to come back to Bastion on the Widow as well, because if you'd have asked me to name a hero that Bastion was likely to swap over to, I probably wouldn't have picked Widowmaker, but they were able to find a couple of picks and provide a lot of pressure, and I feel like make a huge amount of space for the rest of Avoided to really get in and do the cleanup work.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the hardest things when it comes to Avoided is how do you keep track of which target is kind of the one to focus? Because they're all doing kind of their own thing, right? There is an element of just walking in and seeing who's performing the best at the moment. You kind of focus on that target, but it can just as easily, swap to someone else who suddenly pops off. So clearly a scenario there where Bastion gets uncontested on the Widow, and in a final fight scenario gets enough value to open up things for his team.
Here on the defense for Avoid, we've got Baymore and Fan1 coming out on the Roadhog here, so going to be looking for that high pick potential. Need a solid defense here from Avoid because they did cap, but it was a cap in overtime, so Company 8 finishing with more than a minute could make this really difficult here for Avoid to take a map in the series. Bastion up in the window for now. See the rotation coming through jointly around the statue and up onto the high ground for Company 8. No real engage just yet. Mora gets caught out. Along with the fish. Won't find that one, but chums the water a little bit and gets Gangster with a right click. Still advantage here for Avoided. They can get a couple of picks here. They can really slow down this fight and burn time off the clock.
Yeah, and with Vega going down, I mean, you're kind of in a no man's land. 4 of you are stuck behind enemy lines as Mora tries here on a massive flank. He's trying to get a pick off, but he's going to get spotted out, so no harm, no foul.
Ooh, this is a very nearly a follow through there from Aquamarine to get Mora, but luckily whose toes are those there to help him survive through that with D-Matrix. And now a split position here for Company. Oh my gosh! What a pin from Pone from the high ground! Hammermay now down and out of the fight. It is 5v6, 4v6. Gangster goes down, but this might be enough here. Bastion is still up on the high ground. Won't have the ult just yet, but is providing a huge threat from the high ground because nobody can deal with it.
They are going to get a tick. Are they going to get more? The Bastion mates are doing so much damage throughput here on the front line.
They're playing in just the right position. They're playing away from his line of fire. Coming with a rotation here, looking to land this final rocket, get the pick. Now they have the tire ready to go. Point is still contested. And Mora also getting dangerously close to a Riptire here of their own. They may not need this one as Bastion and Aquamarine are able to find the double. We'll get the punch back here with the res comes through and the self-destruct brings Bastion back, takes Bastion out of the fight. Mora's able to find the space to pop in the Riptire and might not even need it here because it looks like the rest of the team in the neutral have been able to make this work out.
Yeah, they're going to get staggered picks here as Aquamarine and Nolan both go down late. And the trust are more there. He's 1 HP and antied, and still his team, he knows his team's going to be there to back him up. So reset here now for Avoided. And Phil, I mean,
Pone. Didn't know the Bastion was there. Just able to back out with the shield still in place. Bastion being pressured out now by the D.Va, forcing a big rotation back for the rest of the team.
I mean, it's good that they got a time here if you're Company 8 because Avoided can easily bleed off, time off the clock here. Here's going to be the Riptire from Aquamarine to open up the pre-fight as he goes over the top with it.
That's right. Like the world's least subtle cat burglar, the Riptire, over the course of the rooftops. Won't find too much except a whole bunch of shield damage. Pones are going to throw in the Shatter. Doesn't look to have got a whole amount here. I'm going to start to see ults exchanged here. Gangster has the barrage ready to go, but doesn't currently have the room and the solidity to make it work. Has the high ground position coming around the back with the primary fire, takes Aquamarine out. This is looking again very good here for Company 8. They've got the numbers advantage. They've got a couple of ults on the table ready to go, and they are forcing Ham and Main back. Takes one with the rock, and that's going to be Company 8 looking in a very good position to cap here.
As Poe comes charging in,
no.
Bastion Main takes a sidestep there because he's like, oh no, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, Bastion Main is being pressured by the Reinhardt, which is not a matchup you really want to see happen all that often. The shield gets shredded by that, but he's done such a good job of just putting in pressure. We're coming in with 3 minutes on the clock here for Company 8 to make this happen.
Yeah, and oh man, I mean, Avoided thought they could take that fight, but instead, despite getting the one kill onto whose toes are those, it's going to have to be a reset here as Invin's taking down late, and 4 minutes on the clock here as Poe continues his reckless abandon into the back line with these charges.
You'd normally advise against this, but you can't argue. It's working out for him. He's finding pressure on Bastion Main and really stopping him from finding that value he might want.
Also, when we started off this match, if you had told me that Avoid is the team that's going to go to double shield first, I would not have believed you. But we are actually going to see the Sigma Orisa here now from Avoided.
That's right, really having to dig deep here to find something to make this work. They do have a couple of ults on their side. They've got the Flux, they've got the Nano, they've got the Configuration Tank, but whose toes those can shut down a lot of that with this self-destruct. We'll see that thrown in. It's going to land right on top of Bastion Main, but it goes wide. It lands behind the boxes, and he's now out. But once more, it is Poe up against Bastion Main, and Bastion Main has to stay in his cubby just to wait for the healers to come through. Poe was able to get back in and start to pressure him again. And we're going to see Ham and Main down. Aquamarine once more with the tire, looking for something around the far side. Up onto the high ground. It's slow though, they need to find the value. Pone goes down, but they've already lost the spear with Bastion Main being taken out. And Moro is still on the cart, being a nuisance and a threat at the same time. Aquamarine will get the better of that exchange. Looks like we might see a hold here for Avoided for now, but Company are going to be back and in greater numbers.
Yeah, it's... oh, I mean, Ham and Main goes down as well, so... You're looking at Bastion Main hoping for a pick-off here at some point as the Widowmaker trying to find a ton of value, but it's a Shatter coming in the backline, actually.
That's right. Bastion Main looking for the flood of 3 feet on King's Row. Can't make it happen, and Gangster is just uncontested by the cart throwing in the barrage. Nobody was really looking for him, and he finds a huge amount of value. We've even had Moro here. Well, you know, I was about to comment getting the better hand over Bastion Main there, but we'll get knocked off. Self-destruct thrown in! Aquamarine and Ham and Main both into the line of fire. Poe with the fire straight takes Bastion Main down the second he was able to touch onto Cart. And this is a 2-minute cap here, which means Company 8 have 2 minutes to cap 1/3 of a tick here to take us to match points.
Yeah, and I mean, remember, Company 8 had to win this game to keep their playoffs, to cement their playoffs, essentially, right? They're 3-3, and they're tied for 4th with 2 other teams. So they kind of needed a win here. And coming into this, Avoided was the best team on this side of the bracket, 6-0. And right now, I mean, you could have told me the reverse was true, and I would have not necessarily disbelieved you, as it's been all Company 8 really on the offensive side of things here.
It's maybe a bit of a pattern that we eventually see with these on-trick, these strange off-meta comp teams, is that once people have had the time to actually study what works, how they work, and what the shortcomings are, they tend to be able to find good answers to it. And this double projectile spam comp from Company 8 is working out in a huge way for Company 8. And credit to whoever was able to scout that out, the coaching, the players themselves. I think that's been a real turn up for the Bucks here.
It absolutely has, and I mean, you know, now it's up to Avoided if they can hold strong here on this first third, because I mean, you only need to give up 1/3 of the map or 1/3 of the point A, and you've kind of lost this map as well. So Company 8 certainly in very good condition here as King's Row opens up for the second time.
No surprises on the DPS, the defense here, the Bastion and the Junkrat's. Might see a rotation through Hotel. No, just gonna go round behind the statue. And Bastion Main looking for the predict here as they're going to be rotating through Hotel. Even if they don't, he's got a position there to come and rotate again behind them and get a couple of picks.
Bastion Main trying his best to welcome them to the hotel. You can see he's sitting there in the lobby, but no one's checking in today.
No, if Bastion Main asks to check your bags, don't give him them because he's just going to turn into the turret form and fill you full of bullets. Those of those caught out at low health on the far side of the rest of his team, but in a good position here to do a little bit of a chase down and catch up there with his Reinhardt as Morris gets the pick onto Aquamarine. Bastion Main equalizes things nicely though, but of course, respawn advantage heavily in favor here for the attackers, and that has got to be it. Fame1, Fam1. You might have the adaptive shield, but all the shield in the world is not going to help you out with the numbers that you've got to deal with here. Bastion Main's down, Fame1, Fam1 down, and that's going to be it. Company 8 taking us to a match point, Lafon.
Yeah, as it's not just match point, it's match point at 2-0. Avoided not even taking up that one map yet, and so as we head into our third map, Avoided looking a little bit uncontested, in terms of what they're trying to bring to the table. Company 8 doing a really good job of denying that damage throughput and really shutting down, I think, the damage dealers of Avoided.
And you don't want to pile too much praise onto just the DPS, and I feel like I might fall into that trap a little bit, but it just seemed to me that Morrow had the upper hand over Aquamarine the entirety of that map. For someone that is known to be a Junkrat specialist, Aquamarine has just been really heavily challenged here by Morrow.
So that's the interesting thing, is that Morrow's doing such a fantastic job. It's not, when you see a Junkrats, right? One of the things that is sort of strange for a Junkrat is to have a lot of direct hits with their primary fire. But Morrow's been hitting a lot of these and pipes on top of that. So, a player that has been very consistent on the Junkrat here. And, that's not normally a term we use to describe Junkrat players, right? Consistency is not the mark of Junkrat. He's more of a spam character that will put pressure on you, but it's been a lot of kills that have been hit, just back-to-back hits, and taking the squishies out, the 200 HP targets out, and making life just generally miserable for Avoided's support line.
Bit of a wrinkle here, though, Lafon. We do have a substitution coming in. Aquamarine taking a backseat and Dyslexia coming back in. And for those of you unfamiliar, Dyslexia is the Symmetra player for Avoided, and it's Avoided map's choice. So my guess is they've got a set play in mind. Still waiting to find out where we're going, but I'm sure they've got a plan.
I mean, it's Avoided. I mean, they're going to have one because map 3, they are at match point, and they need to come back in a big way if they want this series yet again. But if anything, this is where Avoided is trying to start their reverse sweep, and so we'll see how they fare on their map choice. We'll let you know when we get the map with information. It's the losing team selection, but we get throughput here. It's going to be Escort, of course, as we already know, and looks like Junkertown is where we're headed to next.
Interesting. It's the second time today we've seen Junkertown, and I feel like it's a map that we've not really been seeing that much in Tier 2 and Tier 3 play. And I don't know, given that they've subbed in a Symmetra, the only thing I can really think of is that they're going to be trying to hold right by the spawn doors on defense. But it still seems a very weird pick of map to me.
I think this is going to allow a lot more flanking styles, though, with how open Junkertown first is. You can play around sort of that first point without having to take necessarily a direct route to the objective. You still have to push the objective, obviously, to the doorway, but you can really avoid some of the more direct 6-on-6 team fights, right? You can kind of play sort of your loose style and get away with it. So we'll see if that's what they elect to do, if that's what Avoided elects to do. But at the very least, Company 8 has had, basically, it feels like an answer to everything Avoided has tried to pull out.
I'd like to see what they're going to do in response to this swap up from Avoided. Worth bearing in mind, of course, there's no real stake here for Avoided. They already have that top spot in the group locked in. They're 6-0. If they go 6-1 here, okay, cool, would have been good to have the 7-0, but they're still going to be coming in at the number 1 seed for this half bracket. So, I wonder if maybe part of what we're seeing here is just a slightly laissez-faire attitude to trying to take this map, but it's worked out well for Company 8 so far. On the defense, no changes for them, though.
I mean, why change what's working, right? And I think technically, if Avoided loses, Nocturnal has the same score as them. So it'd be 6-1 both, and that is if Nocturnal wins today as well. So we should add that caveat. But as the gates unlock, Junkertown will begin, Phil, and as you said, Company 8 with the door hold.
Oh, charge from Pone, going to connect with the door frame and stop short. Already a lot of damage coming through here onto the mech of Whose Toes Are Those. It's only the Immortality Field in that for now. Dyslexia pressuring Moro up on the high ground. And Bastion Main gets the first pick. Country Boy 66 now down. And lots of space now for this to really get rolling as Moro falls. Baemon Fan1 able to provide a lot of pressure here. Pone will get a pick there, but trades his own life for it.
And Whose Toes Are Those is going to be a late kill here as well. And I mean, this first point is so difficult to kind of like deny angles from, so I'm not surprised that Avoided was able to take that first fight so dominantly. And we'll have to see how Dyslexia performs throughout the later stages of this map, because as we highlighted, coming in for Aquamarine, and Moro is actually going to make a switch over here. No more Junkrat. They're going with the Widowmaker.
Interesting. I guess your objective here is going to try and take supports out of the equation, but in the meantime, Pone and Gangster able to get the double here, so looking like a very good recon test here from Company 8. Hammerman will come out of this with the mines ready to go, but with so much of his team already offline, you got to wonder how much value that can find.
You can see
big high ground position. So able to find Baemon Fan here as well. Still looking very good here for Company 8 on the recon test. Hammerman in the back, looking for the health back. Back in for the recon test.
Vega was so patient that fight, trying to get that Resurrect off, and now Moro has free reign on the Widowmaker, gets a headshot off there on Dyslexia, and I mean, now Avoided are looking pretty worse to wear.
The benefit here is they've got a couple of ults coming their way. Speaking of which, Bastion Main starting things off with the configuration tank format, but not finding much outside of a whole wealth of shield from Pone, and of course puts himself right into the line of fire of Moro. The Bastion Main now out of the fight. Gonna see the Flood's committed here from Baemon as well, but gets immediately knocked out of it. A melee hit even from Whose Toes Are Those takes him out of it. Nolan might find double now, looking for the triple, but finds a whole wealth of Immortality Field. But has done enough damage there to allow Hammerman to get the run through and take Country Boy out. Hammerman with the triple, and suddenly looking like we might see a cap here for Avoided as they have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, this is still buying a lot of time though. Whose Toes Are Those dancing around the objective in pilot form? Bought another 15 seconds or so. And I mean, Avoided. Yes, they're going to get the point, but that's not a lot of time that's left for them here.
They still have the option of a contest here. They can get in and touch. Some extra reward to start things off, and a trade. Main tank for main tank as Moro and Bastion Main start to find some results with their respective heroes here. There's the barrage from Gangster, and it's going to be Whose Toes Are Those that comes up big with the self-destruct, but again, too little too late. We're going to see the cap here for Avoided.
Yeah, I think Whose Toes Are Those just unable to stay alive for quite long enough in the mech to stay on point. And it's I mean, he bought another 10 seconds or so, and you're never going to get a recontest in this first phase anyways. The fight had just ended, so I mean, it's not the worst thing here. Is we're going to see another swap coming in as Baemon is going to go over to the Winston. Bastion Main teleport to the high ground. I mean, he's trying to deny this flank as much as he can. Also, Moro playing yet his another hero as he goes over the Genji now.
Well, great get up in the face of the Bastion, reflect some bullets. Quite a good way to take the kill. And Bastion Main is going to be pressured out. Luckily, the TP is there to buy him a huge amount of space. To get out relatively unscathed, but in the meantime, the cart most of the way
my goodness
into getting to point B, but a massive charge, and Whose Toes Are there? Whose Toes Are Those there with the complete to allow Company 8 to get in and really stick the brakes on the car.
I don't think Bastion Main was quite expecting the Reinhardt to come from that angle, and he's gonna get back to spawn as Hammond Main now in the backline. It's looking for something, anything to kind of get to. And I mean, the one difference now is Vega is gonna have their work cut out for them trying to play off the Pharah and the Mercy. Oh, sorry, Pharah and the Genji. My mistake.
Got quite a lot of spaces. It looks like Pone had to do a little bit of escort work there to bring 20.66 back into the fight. A couple of ults coming online, and Baemon Fan1 taken down very quickly. Here's the mines, the pile driver in over the top. focus there from the coalescence of Nolan as well. Takes Vega and Country Boy both out of the fight, finds the second as Gangster goes down. Shadow's gonna come out, but with Bastion main still up and not hit by the Shadow, opponent gets taken down, and it's looking like a cap here for Avoided.
And Bastion main is just staring relentlessly at a corner, trying to keep an eye out onto where Moro is, but Moro is nowhere to be found, and the point will unlock. It's a Valorant angle there for Bastion main on that corner.
Yeah, hold the angle, keep your cursor at head height, and hope for the best. Has to get out of dodge there, uses his ult to keep himself in that fight, and looking for a flank now. Always watch out for Moira in the back line. Kites the Reinhardt away from the rest of the team. It's probably a really good answer here for Genji.
And I mean, there is the Blade online here, as well as the Barrage. So as long as you can get into that backline and avoid the teleporter, you know, avoid the Bastion getting teleported away, there is a lot of damage available here for
nice pick, Baymon fan, one with the chase down, taking Vega out. Primal Rage thrown in as well as Hammond main gets the double. Gangster not able to get the barrage off. That's both DPS ults available, but offline because both characters taken out very quickly.
Yep. I mean, the tanks just go to the cart there to stall. Game was so close to dying actually on the Winston. Gets back to his team in time. And now Avoided, I mean, they got stalled out on one pretty long, but without a contest on B, on the second phase of Junkertown, they've got a relatively healthy time bank here to try and close up the map.
Well, Moro will have the blade ready to go. Trying to take down the teleporter to stop people using it to get out of the range of his blade. Couldn't quite find that final flick onto it. Now has to get out. There's the blade coming out now. 2 picks already, 2 ults. There's a second for Moro with the blade into the back line, looking to find the Bastion. Gets the reflect over the top and into the soft spot. A bit of calisthenics there to keep himself limited for the next fight. And a hold here from the end.
And Dyslexia is the last one left alive, so a late kill there. And now we're going to see that next fight happen below a minute. As actually a switch comes in from whose toes are those? Going to the Roadhog here. Some pretty large scale swaps. Gangsta also over to the Moro.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess no one was expecting that, least of all us. We'll have the configuration tank, and I wonder if Bastion is looking for the high ground approach there. They want fan one around the side, looking to pressure out.
Oh, Bastion hook.
Yeah, didn't know that Moro was there. Configuration tank onto the high ground, but we will see Bastion traded for Bastion. And Nolan with the hero play on the Coalescence, able to find the double, chasing down the enemy brig. Vega taken out of it. Great set of plays there from Nolan to really help the team round this through to point C with 18 seconds left on the clock.
You know what they say about not respecting your opponent? Sometimes they'll come back to haunt you, and right there it does. There's just not enough time to get the full setup, and despite picking off Bastion main early, Phil, I gotta think that you know, the Coalescence, the Nano Coalescence in the backline, having the Immortality Force that early and not really being able to shut down the Moira, we saw how good that Coalescence was to take down 3 kills, and clearly not an expectation that Company 8 had of Avoided.
Still, Company 8, they get their turn in the sun next as it's their offensive round. If they can finish with a substantially bigger time bank here than Avoided, they'll put themselves in a great position. But Avoided now with Dyslexia in the roster seemed a little more confident, and it seemed like Company 8, their answers weren't quite as definitive as they were previously.
So this, to be fair, this is kind of what we expected from Avoided at the start of all of this, right? We highlighted Avoided as being the undefeated team so far on this side of the bracket, and you know, Company 8 have had their struggles in you know, their games 3-3. So to have Avoided kind of play out is complete the map, even with the disadvantages that were afforded to them, is not a surprise. I think the thing is, though, is how does Company 8 kind of rebound from this? Because if they can complete the map with time remaining and then get that second attack, then we're starting to see, you know, some questions have to be kind of approached. You know, does Avoided have it in them to close out the series? But first, Company 8 has to get to that third checkpoint as Bastion main sets up on the teleporter.
Waiting on the high ground for someone to come close enough in to get the power driver in. Looking for a big rotate here up to the high ground and fake there through the building, then back up over the top. Now has an idea of where those rockets need to be aimed. And quite a nice commanding view of the area from the sky on the Pharah for this map.
Also, Moro has been playing Mystery Heroes all day. Gets another one in the selection, the Reaper coming through.
Really wants to work his way through as many of the DPS picks as he can manage. Hammond main in a lot of trouble there, 43 health, just able to get out of that, but Bane1 Fan 1 taken out. Vega finds Bastion main, and Dyslexia is in full-on retreat mode, but will get chased down here. In comes the Fade. Can't quite find that last pick, but will get the turrets at the very least. Maybe there's a recon test here for Avoided.
I'd like to highlight that the reason Dyslexia survived that is one of the turrets blocked just enough pellets that he stayed alive. So the Reaper nearly getting that kill.
Swap the Bane1 Fan 1 onto a hog of his own, but Moro up into the face of Dyslexia, busts them down. There's a high ground retreat here for Moro. Wants to get into the face of the supports, finds that last few pellets into Invin, takes them down. Down goes Bastion main, and this is looking absolutely stellar for Company 8.
Moro's trying.
Pulls the ripcord. That's it, one and done. Easy camp there for Company 8.
Company 8, yeah, indeed. As I mean, Avoided just playing, try and get to the payload as quickly as possible, and they don't get it, so they are gonna have to reset here. Now to the second point. I mean, Bastion can set up a little bit more easily here on the second point, right? There's a little bit more high ground to kind of rotate around. You have a little bit more cover, and with how Bastion main likes to play these flanks, he's gonna use the ulti early.
Ooh, that was beautiful! Uses the rocket to blast the charge off, whilst opponents in the air, hits them with the second rocket, takes them out again. Avoided now with a much better handle on this, particularly with Bastion main having the opportunity here to set up. Gangster has something to say about that as Dyslexia gets taken out. The barrage right into the face of the Roadhog. No fear of the hook whatsoever. And Company 8 ramp up the speed once more. They're not giving them the chance to set up on the high ground. This is looking so good right now.
What a wall.
Great wall. There's the shatter into the back. Will take Invin out. Nolan completely unfazed by that. Still looking for picks on the high ground. Swap here from Moro onto the Soldier though.
This is so that's what 6 characters he's played now in this map. As
for the record.
Yep. Bastion main's on the high ground with close to that ultimate.
Big.
Oh, what a hook.
Yeah. Gangster now out of the fight. Hammond main looking for the roll through as the high ground sees that there is indeed a Roadhog behind them. Moro's going to get taken out here, and I don't know that this soldier is working out for him just yet.
No, I really don't think it is. But I mean, to be fair, this is kind of where Avoided excels. We're gonna see Gangsta switch over here now to the Torbjorn, and this chaos, this sort of complete flank attitude that Avoided has is coming to bear for the first time in the series here on Junkertown 2nd, right? We're seeing finally a bunch of 1v1s being taken across the map, and Company 8 are losing out on those 1v1s, but we're gonna see another set of switches. That's Echo coming in. Gangsta actually make a switch back to the main now, so we're going all in with the selections here from Company 8.
But I kind of like that as a thought. The wall to interrupt Bastion, raise him up, to put him in the line of fire with the Echo. If they can get a couple of picks there, they'll be in great position. Focusing theme will take Bane1 Fan 1 out of the equation for now. It's a one-man advantage. They know exactly where Bastion main is. Now they've got to deal with the minefield. We'll see a pause coming through. Again, as soon as we know exactly why we've got the pause coming through, we'll communicate that to you. But what an unfortunate position to have to take a technical pause in.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw that the Echo just kind of got annihilated by the configuration tank of Bastion main, so it's going to be a reset. Sounds like we have some mouse technical difficulties for one of the players, and as soon as that gets resolved, we'll be back in. But, I mean, this is the May on Bane1 Fan 1 there was pretty hysterical, just not allowed to play the game, not allowed to have fun, and the Roadhog gets sent back to spawn after being hit with a focusing beam and the freeze. And when we get into the game in just a moment, we'll be back into the action.
It looks like we've got that pause taken care of. Should be ready for the next fight, but this is already going the way of Avoided, as Hammond is able to get Country Boy down as well. Bane1 Fan 1 ready to come back in, and Bastion main still up on the high ground, proving really difficult to dislodge here upon.
There's no way to kind of take care of him in this corner. He's blocked from the hook, and unless you go for a large flank, there's no one who's really going to be able to kind of deny Bastion main this high ground at all. So you can see a long rotation going on. Nolan getting...
What is this?
I mean, this is a long flag to the extreme from Hammond Main.
This is Hammond Main going, do you know, I really liked playing point A. Can we go back there for a little while? Oh, that's unfortunate. Trying to pop the take a breather whilst anti-naded. Never going to work out particularly well. Bastion Main with the double. Secures yet another hold here for Avoided. Company 8 now down under 90 seconds. And Gangster caught out on his own.
Gangster was helping, I think, to get the healing pad, trying to get before using the cryo freeze. But instead, now we're going to see a long stall out here from Company 8. And I mean, they're in last fight territory. Hammond Main not having a great time. And also, Moro having, I think, what is this, his 8th character of the map?
Whose toes those caught out up against Bastion Main. DM only able to help him survive for so long. Has now forced Bastion Main off that initial high ground right the way to the back, so they are slowly making progress here. If Company 8 can just get this point B, they may have a much easier time coming through point C. There's the Shatter. Hammond Main with a roll through to stop the follow through. Mine's ready to go here as well. Coalescence trying to focus down supports, will get Country Boy. Looking to now get the kill onto McCree, taken down, and now the final 30 seconds of the fight here for Company 8. They've got to push through this defense, or we go to another map.
I mean, they're dancing around the point here, so there's still a recontest available, and not a true setup here. Oh, there's a self-destruct.
We'll get one pick. Really want to take Bastion out of the fight. This configuration tank form comes through. Vega with the sound barrier helps people survive through at least some of that. Looks like we might get the D-make there onto whose toes are those. A few meters left to go on the point. We've got the Blizzard available here. If that rocks up enough people, they might just scrape their way through this. In comes Hammond Main with the roll through. Can't survive through it though. Bastion Main sets up, but it's just down to Pwn to ride the cart in. One last second contest, but they're going to get another bite at this one. They've got point C in their sights.
This is pretty disastrous, though, for Company 8 in terms of what they're trying to bring to the table, because only a minute 20 left on this fight, and they don't have really much to kind of work with here. Up against Bastion Main's, Bastion, you're expecting to kind of stall out a ton of time here. Avoided really look like they have, I would say, the extreme advantage now in this map, because there's only one fight remaining and all of 3 to get to. If you're Company 8.
We'll have a couple of ults on their side for Avoided as well. Got the whole hog, we've got the photon barrier as well, and Pwn spends a little bit too long there with the line of fire of the Bastion. Looking to be in a little bit of trouble. Daemon found one fishing with the hook, can't find anything just yet, and as we approach the 30-second mark, things are starting to look a little bit rocky now for Company 8 on point C, as whose toes are those goes down, and look at the ults available here for Avoided Lamar.
Yeah, they have everything, and with 20 seconds remaining, there's nothing on the reverse side of things that can really get into position to deny those ultimates, right? Sure, you're going to have the Blizzard, but how do you get the Mei into play? And at this point, now we're not asking, is there any economy? We're asking, who's going to touch the point to trigger overtime?
Looks like Moro's going to pick up the Tracer now, which I believe is hero number 9 for him. Ready to get in and keep this contest going. Nolan's in the back, wants a kickoff onto a support, or even just to flesh out the immortality of the Drake. Minefield comes out from Pwn. Got the Blizzard here as well. Just going to take the proximity mines off Hammond Main. But whose toes are those is going to get D-Meg. Bastion Main on the right side of that one. Finds whose toes are those. Gangster makes a nice push back here. But there's nothing that can really be done here as Vega gets scouted out and focused down. Looks like we finally got a point on the board here for Avoided.
And this is the start for what Avoided was trying to bring back to the table as they take Junkertown. So their first map of the series, 2-1 now. Company 8 leads as we head into our next map. We're going to see the highlight here from Nolan. I believe this is the Nano Boost Coalescence at the end of the attack run for, yeah, it is indeed.
Not a combination you normally expect to see all that often, Nano Boosted Coalescence, but hey, if it works, it works. So looks like it could be the start here of the reverse sweep for Avoided. Company 8 still just need that one more map on the board to secure them the win here, but Avoided looking like they don't want to go down here without a fight.
No, we're going to have our next map set up here as we're going to assault. And that means Temple of Anubis was Company 8's map pick, swiftly chosen as that comes through. They want to get, they have their mind set up and they know what they want. And so they're going to go as Yeah, this is now map number 4 in our series, our first of 3. And I mean, Company 8, not a poor showing from them on Junkertown, but I think Avoided finally got back into their wheelhouse and were able to take control of the map and take their first map win of the series.
I do feel a little bit like they didn't have to do the same degree of swapping around that they had to do on other maps. They were able just to sit on one look with maybe a couple of adaptations here and there, and just, as you say, like find their comfort zone, hit their groove, and really just ride that one out. So this is maybe the start of the momentum that Avoided need as we come into Temple of Anubis. Now, I have seen the other iteration of Avoided play Temple of Anubis recently, and I had some serious questions about how they were making that work, how they were trying to make that work. Swapping Bastion main onto the Pharah, for example. I do have some questions about whether or not they have the adaptability for a point like Temple of Anubis to really deal with what Company 8 are throwing at them. I guess that's just going to remain to be seen, Lafon.
That is going to be, yeah, I mean, there's certainly going to be some questions answered regardless of how this goes, but we do have a substitute for Avoided, Dyslexia out, Aquamarine back in. And I would not be surprised to see the Junkrat here, actually. Yet again, Junkrat has some utility on Temple of Anubis point A. Is, you know, that spam damage on that choke point can really put a lot of pressure onto the entering team.
Really can. Have seen Junkrat even run up on Temple of Anubis up to some of the highest levels of play here. So definitely within Avoided's wheelhouse here to break that out when it's their turn on the defense.
The other thing to note, though, is that the team slides have swapped. So it's going to be Avoided in blue and Company 8 in red. So they go to the attack first, as electing to defend has been Avoided. So, I mean, yeah, when we get a chance to see what these hero selections are, I would not be surprised to see the Junkrat at all. And at least initially, as we get set, as the teams get set to kind of go through, we look like we're going to have that Bastion Junkrat combination.
Normally, you know, you talk about this sort of composition as being like a ranked composition. It's not the sort of thing we expect to see at the higher levels of play. The one thing I would expect to see come out every time I see somebody lock the Bastion and refuse to swap is some sort of shield, be that Orisa, be that Reinhardt, be that whatever. And I wonder if Bastion main survivability here is going to be enough without a shield.
It's going to put his dodging skills to the test, that's for sure. Can you dodge a hook while being stationary? We'll have to find out. I guess it's more about, does his team die? Does he die before his team kind of wins the fight, right? That's, I guess, a real question. You can see Bastion main playing so far in the back. He's looking for a flank, perhaps, here.
I think he's maybe looking for the predict here of Mora on the Genji coming through the window to pressure the point and ready to take him out if that is the case. We'll see Company 8 look to try and make that rotation through Dark Room, but having to give that up, there's a lot of damage coming their way. But early pick here as Pones able to take Baymon Fan 1 down. And this is finding a lot of space here for Company 8 to start to close the distance as Nolan goes down too. This is a disastrous hold for Avoided. They need a couple of pushback picks immediately. Otherwise, this is all done on their defense. Bastion main down. Aquamarine trying to keep this going, but focused down by Morrow. This is going to be a very big point 8 amplify.
It really, really is. And I mean, you could... Please don't make me dizzy, Morrow. You can see the celebration coming through there as... I mean, without a shield, right? Those just... It's a pushback there from Company 8. And, I mean, Objective B unlocks. We have over 5.5 minutes here for Company 8 onto the second point. That being said, this is going to be really difficult to kind of enter into the front line, and it's going to come down to, can Gustavo really get an early pick-off with a hook, perhaps?
Going to be looking for it. Knows that there is a Hammond main up on the high ground to deal with, but we'll have the whole hog here. And we are not that far away from having the Nano Boost Dragonblade combo ready to go. Aquamarine's going to try and make things kick off here with the Riptire. Will find Country Boy. And a hold here for Avoided that was nowhere to be seen on point A. Finally manifests on point B.
Yeah, that was a bold attempt from Company 8 on that attack run, as they kind of just walk into a Bastion's line of sight. And, I mean, you don't even have to really try that hard to get those shots hit off. And Bastion main gets a pick off, and it's going to be a reset there. There's a little clever play, actually, by Aquamarine. He puts down the Junkrat trap in front of Bastion main. So the Genji unable to really dodge around the line of fire from the Bastion in close, and that's going to be the reset.
Closing the distance, dashes in, has the Dragon Blade ready to go. Receives the Nano, finds the pickup onto Aquamarine, now looking to deal with Bastion main, but can't quite find the pick as the Nano boost comes through onto him. Banewan one fan with the whole hog. He's going to round things out there, and that was a costly fight for Company 8.
Yeah, they use nearly everything. I mean, one thing I would like to highlight is the minefield was used by Hammond main. He's already up to 45% on his next one. Very fast building ultimate there. We're gonna see Morrow play another character. He's gonna go over to the Reaper this time around. And I mean, yeah, it was tough because the nano boosted Bastion not cutting him down, and the whole hog in the backline to deny the rest of the fight. Well played there. Hammond main sitting on the backline here. I don't think anyone knows he's here yet.
I think he gave up his position there with a little bit of scatter fire into the back. Will be able to get a knock through here and maybe dislodge them on the way in, but Aquamarine's going to go down early. We'll have the Blizzard, but we see Gangster taken out just as it comes offline. I was worried for a second that wasn't going to come off. Morrow just jams those Hellfire shotguns into the body of Banewan. Fan 1 takes him out of it, 60% of the way to that little already, and Nolan trying to turn the tides here with the Coalescence, but there's only so much that he can do. And avoid the point completely, and Company 8 cap with over 3 minutes in the bank.
I mean, even with one player going down on avoidance or on Company 8's side, Company 8 was like, all right, we'll take the fight anyway in the Supercharger, and obviously those Hellfire shotguns just putting so much damage in the front line. We saw how quickly Banewan Fan just dropped dead essentially on that Roadhog, and you know, a really good time bank here from Company 8 as they just press the go button on both point A and point B to get themselves the double cap.
Coming into this next one, do wonder what Avoided are going to bring out here on the offense, because I feel like this is probably one of the hardest points in the game to try and make a Bastion work, because you've got so much exposed ground to cover without the shield in play. Maybe this is what they're going to do. Like, they're in spawn, but Aquamarine on the sim to try and get the Bastion main up into a more useful position seems like a sensible wrinkle.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
It's certainly I think a more efficient way of dealing with the problem of how to kind of move an immobile target around, right? But I'm interested to see how Gangsta plays this Mei, because he played it on attack as well, and the wall definitely helped isolate the Wrecking Ball a bit. So I think Gangsta can be a real difference maker here as well, and we've already seen how good Mei is on Temple of Anubis, right? So a little bit of continuation of that perhaps here.
Coming out on the left-hand side, might be looking for that cheeky Symmetra TP under the archway. See how that works out. Of course, they're coming into a lot of incoming damage on the way through, and Morrow rapidly ticking up towards that retire, ready to go. And then the roll through, able to provide a little bit of distraction now. We're going to see Bastion main up on the high ground there. Looking for an angle in just to try and wear down a couple of targets. But Company 8 doing a really good job here of getting out of the way of that incoming damage and just playing around the geometry. Try to get in.
How much damage the company is taking, it's going to be a very early amplification matrix here from Country Boy.
Already halfway to that one. Toes of those looking to DM some of that damage, but it can't keep Pwn alive. Now it's kind of mitigation stations with Company 8 as they look to try and stem the bleeding somewhat. But Bastion main has a high ground position. He can't be contested up here, and he's starting to get picks. Configuration tank bomb with a rocket onto the high ground knocks out the Diva and the rest of Company 8, and Avoided with a very quick cap here on A.
That teleport to the high ground is the catalyst for all of this, right? The Bastion able to rain down damage from afar, and coupled with that, Banewan Fan 1 getting a lot of damage into his matrix essentially of the Sigma meant that, you know, that was another 1,000 HP you have to burn through essentially. And so coupled with that, Bastion being able to generate enough damage to switch to build configuration tank, and that unlocks this point. And now, I mean, there is a potential here for a snowball here as the nano boost is online as well.
Hello.
And they're going to teleport right to point.
Oh, this is great. The wall up. Bastion main cannot be dealt with up here. And he's able to just rain in all of the damage in the universe with the nano boost as well. We will see the Blizzard come through, but there's just Nobody left to keep the contest going. Moro goes for the Riptire, but boy, what a play there from Avoided.
And I mean, that's Avoided coming out with the strats, with the little fun plays. And you would not be able, I mean, that was just a little cheeky inside play there. Comes teleport to the high ground, nano boost there as well, and the wall, the particle barrier to just deny anyone from pushing the Bastion, even if they wanted to. I mean, Company 8 tried to read that play, they tried to push forward and deny the push, but it was too little, too late. And I mean, a Bastion with facing one target at a time, when he's nano boosted, he's going to win that every single day of the week.
Ugh, and just, can you imagine, Lafon, if you yourself ran into that on the ladder, the hair you would pull out in frustration at the bouncing Bastion completely ripping apart your team? It's got to be a little bit demoralizing for Company 8. Let's see how they adapt to this on the next push through. They're going to have 2 minutes on the clock compared to Avoided's 3 minutes 32 seconds. Given how quick point A cap was for both these teams, this time bank difference might not make all that much difference.
Certainly could be the case. I mean, here we're going to look at another composition. Gangsta playing up the Pharah early. But we'll see if he sticks with that, because I believe they ran the Mei the first time around on the offense. So certainly going for a range look this time. And this time there is a shield for Bastion Mei. So you can play this one a little bit closer to the chest in terms of where he's coming into the front line. Doesn't have to play nearly as far back.
Bastion Mei is going to be playing around the back here. Nice long sight lines as we see Company 8 start to press in. But now knows where they are. Bit of forward scouting there. Has a good idea of where to aim those rockets. Avoided, though, already giving up space, but they've got the early couple of kills here. So they can kind of afford to give that up. Moro kind of caught out here by Aquamarine. Spamming dipstick.
Ooh.
God,
That one burns if you're the Genji player for Company 8. And Avoided putting a little bit of time into that one. We're going to see a delayed push now. And I mean, there's only a minute 15 remaining. There's only one real good fight here left on point A. And Company 8 this time around have made 0 progress so far.
The one good thing here is that fight was over so quickly that Avoided didn't really generate too much by way of ult charge. In fact, Gangsta's currently the closest to an ultimate with the barrage ready to go, but there's a lot here that can shut that down. It's going to be hard to make it work.
Oh, BAM1 Fam1 so very weak. Gonna get the Bionade over top.
Yeah, nice. There's the pick. Bastion Main's going to go down. There is a res available. Gangsta looking to deny that with the barrage. And Moro is able to get BAM1 Fan1 here as well. So they now have numbers advantage. And with the lack of contest on tomorrow, with the exception of the Wrecking Ball of Hammond Main, it looks like we're going to see the cap here onto point A for Company 8.
And not nearly as comfortable looking as the first run around, but they do get it with some time to spare as Hammond Main gets taken down. And so they will now have just shy of 45 seconds to complete the map. And I think they'll want this second point pretty dearly as the Infrasight comes out.
I mean, look at what they're walking into, though. Nano Boost, Riptire, Configuration Tank, Minefield, Valk. It's a big, big task for them. That's a good start, though. Aquamarine's Riptire neutralized. Bastion Main to be playing back here in the cubby. Rotates into the sides. Still no real push in here from Company 8. They kind of want to wait for the last few seconds. Minefield's going to come out, and Aquamarine's able to find Moro. Bastion Main with a Configuration Tank. Finds one, but will get taken out by Gangsta. The res coming through onto Country Boy. Here's the Hail Mary, the self-destruct into the back. But there's nobody left from Company 8 to keep that fight going. And now, there's a real situation here where Avoided can take this and see us go to a map number 5.
And I guess, again, they still have a pretty healthy amount of time, right? They have 3:32 left on the clock, so certainly not out of the question here for Avoided to complete the map. Again, point A and the first third of point B is all that they need. And, I mean, with how quickly they took that first point A, it felt like Company 8 had no real way of dealing with the kind of push that Avoided had brought to the table, right? That teleport seemed to catch them unawares, and I think they thought that with Dyslexia being taken out of the map that Aquamarine would not play the Symmetra, but of course that was not the case. And I think we're going to see some adaptation now. Gangsta going to start on the Pharah, trying to deny that high ground, deny that teleport, and prevent Bastion Main from getting into position.
Attackers
I'm looking at this thinking there's 4 different tools here you can use to displace people from the high ground once they're up there, if they're not quick enough to set up. So I like this read from Company A. I think this is a really smart set of adaptations. And we know that Morrow has been very, very effective on the jungle today.
Has been the case indeed. So again, it's all. I think this first push is going to be so key here for Company 8 if they want. I mean, if they want to keep the series going. Reminder: they do need to win this map out if they want to end the series. For Avoided though, a draw is not enough because a draw would take. I mean, a draw would take us to a map 5, but they would still need to win one series. Actually, would need to win a map to even up the series.
Those are the stakes, guys. We're going to see Hammond Main looking to get an early scout. Gets actually the nice roll through the window. Perfect 8-ball into the corner pocket. Now in the back line. Knows exactly where they're set up. Going to look for this wrap around one more to knock them off the high ground. Beautiful complete there, but it was a little bit slow because Aquamarine does get taken out. Bastion Main forced off the high ground again. So nobody really heavily into this fight just yet. Gangster looking to get a few rockets onto Hammond Main. Hammond Main is now down. This is looking like it might be an aborted push here for Avoided unless they can get another push back.
Yeah, I mean, now that Bastion Main hasn't been able to get into position, it's become a lot more difficult to really find entry. And it's been a slow, you know, the tank's trying to go in and find spacing, but there's no damage throughput taking people down. And so Avoided are going to have to wait and buy some time. Hammond Main trying his best to stay alive here. Going to get the health back, so he'll be okay for now. But this is all at the cost of a ton of time here for Avoided.
Plenty of ult charge available for Bastion Main though, so we'll have the configuration tank form for too long. But on the other side, Morrow climbing up just as high. So it's going to be a battle of the explosive here as whoever can get theirs in first. Gangster also wants in on that. So a couple of rockets land in onto Hammond Main. Can't find the kill as he rolls through. Here's the tire from Morrow over the top. Don't think he knows particularly where anybody is. He's kind of fishing with this one. Over the top. Maybe he wants to find Bastion Main, but can't find the pick onto that. Will get Aquamarine though. And Bastion Main commits the configuration tank and can't find anything with it. Now down to less than 2 minutes on the clock, and Avoided don't have that many tools left.
Whose toes are those are going to get? He's going to get the hook off, but he's going to be slapped in. Oh no.
Beautiful anti-nade.
The nano boost.
Yeah, Bastion Main able to pump in all the damage in the world there. Get a 1-for-1 trade as Bane1 Fan 1 goes down. Gangster finds Nolan as well and will have the barrage here available. TP up onto the high ground for Bastion Main, finds Morrow. There's the barrage! Bastion Main and Aquamarine both out of the fight. The sleep comes through onto Gangster, but there may just be the numbers here for Company 8 to hold on.
Is last fight now sort of coming online in a moment. As a minute left on the clock here, and the staggered picks have been all in favor of Company 8. There's been one to Gangsta, but he's going to be back with his team in no time at all. And Company 8 are starting to look like they have some space to kind of work with here.
High ground once again for Bastion Main. A couple of ults available here on both sides. Whose toes are those with the whole hog? Own with Supercharger. Here's the flux from Bane1 Fan 1, and it's only going to get Whose toes those, who's likely to be able to heal themselves back up from this relatively quickly. Now the wall from Aquamarine's going to set Bastion Main up quite nicely to pile in uncontested damage, and of course allows Aquamarine to play in such a way as to really put pressure onto opponents. Kills are now starting to come through here from Avoided. Bastion Main with the ults available as well. Aquamarine and Banefan able to get those final few picks, and they are going to get a crack here at point B.
And they're going to have, as you know, this could still be some resources available here now for Avoided to retake. They're going to have the Nano Boost, they're going to have the Coalescence, so damage throughput certainly available. If, however, Company 8 can withstand this first attack to get the Riptire and the Barrage online, I mean, Company 8 could make this a draw, could force a draw here. And that's certainly not out of the question. They're looking for a hero play here with a Nano Boost in the backline.
Gonna be down to this whole hog from Whose toes are those to try and keep people off the point during the last few seconds as we are approaching overtime. Gonna see a couple of explosive ults coming through here as well. Riptire to start things off. Oh, we'll get the kill onto Nolan, who had the Nano Boost and the Coalescence live and ready to go. Hammond Main tagging into the back, rolls through onto the point, just fishing for those final few percentage points to get that minefield ready to go. Gangster finds Bane1 Fan 1, the rest comes through, the minefield is out. Barrage coming through from Gangster, deals with Bastion Main, and this is looking like it's going to be a draw here and a map 5 for Avoided against Company 8 as the overtime ticks through LaFon.
And I mean, we saw this series start, and the fact that it ends in a draw on Temple of Anubis, this has been, I think, exactly the way the series should have gone.
Oh, yeah.
After the first 3 maps, you gotta say, Temple of Anubis ending in a draw is not a surprise at all. We're gonna see the highlight here, and I mean, if this is not the teleport, I'll be incredibly shocked.
Looks like it's going to be, right up into the corner. There's just nothing they could do. There was no way they were going to get that down quick enough. But the Flux as well, to make it a shooting Gano for Bastion main, just such a phenomenal set of ult combos.
Certainly. We have at least one more map to go. It's gonna be a control. We're gonna go to control next, but before we do that, Phil, a quick break here.
That's right. We got to give ourselves and our teams a little chance to flex our wrists. But don't be straying too far from the stream because we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys.
Academy, they lay down the shatter, let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Vera barrage so quickly.
Oh,
and asking.
Double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact se escucha de baja gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go. Figure out what this man's SR is.
Keep fighting till it's for sure lost.
Winnable!
Welcome back, everybody. We're now refreshed, rested, and ready to go for the final round of a surprising Company 8 versus Voided 5-map series.
And I mean, the way we got to this 5th map is not even with a tied series because Company 8 currently leads the series 2-1.
I hadn't even registered with it because it's so late or so early in the morning here for me, however you want to phrase that. It hadn't even occurred to me that a win here for Avoided is not the end of the series. We could be going to a map 6.
Certainly. And I
It's
mean,
been a long time since I've done that one.
yeah, map 6, well, the draw on Temple of Anubis, right? Assault gives us a chance at more Overwatch. And some Overwatch we've seen actually between Company 8 and Avoided in a way that perhaps none of us expected, right? They Company 8 comes out very aggressively on maps 1 and 2 and takes them pretty handily. Map 3, a little bit more even, and despite Avoided taking that one, and obviously you cannot get any closer than a draw on a map. So certainly a series to behold here if you've missed any of the gameplay. I think you'll be excited for this next one. Ilios, of course, our map number 5. And Company 8, they're still fighting for their playoff hopes. A win here puts them in pretty good company as they try and break a 4th place tie that is between 3 teams right now. So looking to try and take advantage here with the win, an unexpected one over Avoided, who we must say are sitting at 6-0 so far in the bracket here on the eastern side of things. And certainly a Company 8 hoping to give Avoided their first loss of the round robin.
It feels like Avoided have really warmed up over the course of the series, which, you'd like to think these guys have been playing long enough in this sort of tournament environment that the warm-up period should happen before the match actually starts. But again, as you were saying, Company 8 have been doing a phenomenal job here. But coming into Ilios, I feel like we've got a couple of maps in the sets that really play into the kind of chaotic 1v1 nature that Avoided want to make their opponents play. So still think Company 8 are at risk of potentially losing this one if Avoided can keep up the momentum we've seen from the previous couple of maps.
I think, yeah, certainly. I think the 2 stages on this map that kind of favor Avoided more than the others would be Ruins and Lighthouse. I think Well actually favors Company 8 just a little bit more because of how the Junkrat and Pharah play has kind of looked. Company 8 has done a great job of kind of avoiding those sightlines. So I think Ruins, where it's a little bit more open, where the Bastion can get into position is a little bit easier, is probably where Avoided has the advantage. And then, of course, on Lighthouse, the high ground control is so easy for a Bastion to kind of get in. And so I think those 2 stages are where Avoided are trying to go to, which seems counterintuitive, but I think Well is surprisingly Company 8's appropriate choice.
It looks like we may be starting off here on Ilios Lighthouse, so one of those maps that's looking to maybe favor Avoided in this matchup. I'm really curious to see what Company 8 are going to do here, because we have seen them look particularly good against Avoided standard comp with the Pharah and the Junkrat in a much more open map like this, contested one particular small piece of space. I don't know how well the Pharah is likely to work for them unless they can win this first fight.
I think even beyond the Pharah, pick, I think it's all about, Pharah doing damage. I think it's all about her line of sight, kind of avoiding damage in play. You can see the selections that Avoided has up on their screen. It would be the most Avoided thing to do to pick something completely counter to what they've run in the entire time. And I hope they do it just because it would be amusing.
It would be very on brand for them to come out with something that nobody was expecting, but it looks like, as per usual, Lafon, it was a hard debate towards the casters, and not a lot of surprises on what's being run.
No, I mean, it was more me not necessarily expecting Avoided to do that, but more of a, it would be amusing if they did so.
Oh. No, Bastion may look to set up in the back and control some of these sight lines. Gets a few shots through there onto Moro, but Moro gives as good as gets on that one. They one able to get the first pick. Vega now down. Nobody to Company Gangster in the sky, and looks to be an early hack here for Avoided.
Yeah, without the Mercy, the Pharah is so squishy, and the Bastion takes full advantage. And I mean, Avoided are trying to get on the point here, and they're looking pretty healthy.
We will see the first cap come through, and it actually went over to Company 8. Despite the fact that this is looking like a one-team fight here for what is Aquamarine able to find Moro, charge will come through onto Bastion main here. There's just Pone left alone in the fight.
Yeah, Pone nearly got out there as Vega was back in play. And I mean, this is Bastion main's not going to be in position in this next fight to get a retake easily. So Company 8 can actually get their Pharah set up and get some value over the top.
Looking pretty good for them. Yeah. Closing in on some bolts as well. Whereas avoided maybe a little bit further away from some of the key ones than they would like. Moro in a position here to start things off with Riptire and secure a one, maybe even a two-man advantage. There's the tire out. Over top of roof. Gangster trying to take possession of the point as well, and Moro's able to find one pick. It's a two-man advantage now for Company 8 coming into this next fight. Two traps there to contend with, not quite sure whose was whose, but Aquamarine finally gets the upper hand there onto Moro. Barrage not able to find too much, but buys a ton of space. Gangster finds Invin as well. Company 8, they come in and secure the flip.
I like the concept of using both Earth Shatter and Barrage as a mine clearing device. You just all those mines taken care of. Moro continues their hero select goal. We get another hero here as Tracer is coming out this time.
Man, look what Avoided have to work with here, though. They've got another they've got a Riptire, they've got configuration tank, they've got the whole hog.
I think the Nano Boost Coalescence. The Nano Boost Coalescence here could be pretty dangerous as the Riptire comes in over the flank from Aquamarine. Oh!
Ooh, almost loses it. Gets in with a few seconds left to go. Might not be in a position to do much with that. Oh, almost gets the pick onto Pone, but Pone flicks the shield and keeps himself alive through that. Nolan finds the pick there. Vega goes down, and once more there's nobody to support Gangster. Aquamarine finds Pone as he turns to deal with Nolan. And we're going to see Avoided with a numbers advantage here. One punch back here from the self-destruct. Moro now starting to cause a bit of trouble on the Tracer, closing in on the Pulse Bomb. We'll find a pick onto Bane 1, Fan 1. Can't find anything with the Pulse Bomb and gets taken down by Nolan. Bastion Main on the high ground to try and round things out here. Still in control of the point for Company 8, so they're holding on for now. Bastion Main can't go and contest this without giving up the high ground, and Pone is all about just buying time on the clock.
This is, I mean, they do get up to that 80% mark, just shy of it here, so they're okay with that, really. They force, I mean, they're going to force a retake on some point, but that was a really good stall, actually, from Company 8 there on round number 1, and only the Bastions being able to shred from high ground is what gave them a difference. I think the hero now is, if Hammond Main can get this minefield in range to kind of get a denial of the point, that's where you start to build progress, but you know, Company 8 still have their work cut out for them here.
They do. We're going to see the stun come through and see D-Mech. Country Boy going to go down as well. It's an aborted push, and we are about to hit 79 apiece. Hammerman uses the minefield. Not going to have that in the next fight, but 2, maybe even 3 ults on board for Avoided in this final fight.
Yeah, now it's last fight territory here for Company 8, and I mean, with Bastion being able to take the high ground and really get play and cover, this is going to be a really dangerous re-entry actually for the Pharah Mercy combo. Bastion Main playing up so passively here, and there's no one to really get in.
Well, another swap here. I believe it's the first time we've seen the Ashe out from Moro today. Such a versatile player. Pone's able to find one, but it's too little too late as the Coalescence and the raw damage from the primary fire Avoided start to put paid to Company 8. Self-destruct over the top. Can't find too much as Nolan dashes out of the way. And that's it, 179. We are 1 map away now from going to, well, another map.
Avoided trying to even up the series, but I mean, this first round was kind of expected. That was a we highlighted that was the round where the Bastion's able to get on the high ground. It's hard for the Fire to get into play, and so Bastion Main really got advantage on that map. And I think now as we head to Ruins, the question is the rotations going to be available for Bastion Main? Is he going to be able to get into the backline and be safe, or you know, continue through, or will the Pharah Widow find value here? And I mean, not to get too baited out early, but Bastion Main has played the Widow in the series so far. Will he start it here too?
I feel like you've almost got to. If you've got to be predicting that there's going to be a Widow coming out from Moro, you can't just leave them uncontested. You've got to do something about it. But Moro, I think, has been like, he's been such an adaptable and such a high-performing DPS pick here. Like, I do wonder if Bastion Main is up to that level on this hero.
Oh, Bastion Main reveals himself and says, "All right, this is actually very favored to Company 8 here. Is they've got the air Junkrat in Pharah, or the ground Pharah in Junkrat on Aquamarine side, I suppose. But a Widow counter is really not advantage at all for the team in blue.
Not particularly useful. Moro will get the better of Bastion Main, but whose toes are those gets hooked in and taken out. Still got a numbers advantage here, but Hammond Main is able to find Moro whilst he's trying to make a rotation. We'll see them get onto the point, trying to deny the res, and it comes through. No res available there for Vega. Hammermane and Nolan able to get the double there onto the Skyborn duo, and closing in rapidly, not having a minefield ready to hold the recontest. Pwn on his own, alone on the point, trying to keep this going without the flip available for Avoided. Can't find it. Has the shatter, gets the charge, connects, but the nano boost comes through to save Hammermane. He keeps himself in the fight. Kills now starting to come through from Company 8 as Mora takes Invin out. BameOne, Fan1 looking to go through a rotation here to keep themselves in this, but somehow Company 8 have managed to keep this going and managed to flip that for a second there. Avoided look to be in control.
That was such a close fight, but I mean, excellent stall there from Pwn on that Reinhardt. Not something you hear very frequently, but he outslasts a full HP Wrecking Ball and the Moira, staying alive long enough and getting the kill too. And now, unless Aquamarine gets value here with this Riptire, there's a pretty good chance for the closeout of the round.
Spider Riptire comes out a little bit too late, but it has an advantage here, and it's taken both supports for Company 8 out of the running. And there's the trap. No, sorry, buddy, you can't melee your way out of that. Pulse bomb in over the top, buys some space for him to get away. Now it's going to be Pwn 8 with another charge, straight into the winning hook of BameOne, Fan1. And Avoided, they've got the numbers and they've got control of the points.
Yeah, that was just, I mean, the Riptire, if you can get that first pick off, you're eventually going to flip it over in your favor, but that it took quite some time to get it, so that 30% mark is looking pretty good. Bastion finally, has been on the Bastion since the last fight, and I think a little bit more effective than the Widowmaker in his selection. As Pwn going to the Winston now, okay.
Interesting, but they're already one down in the fight and looking to potentially be two down here as well. Pwn trying to find a target here, looking for Wrecking Ball, but kind of all over the place on this guy. They've already doing a really good job of just forcing a bunch of different angles out of Company 8.
I mean, that's a good pick off there. Hammermane's going to go down, so there's a little entry here in terms of the displacement available. Fan1 on the flank is going to get the hook kill.
Gets the hook, can't quite find the complete, will dodge the sleep, but corrals BameOne, Fan1 in the line of fire of the barrage. And we're looking at Company 8 having the numbers advantage here. They've not manifested that into a flip just yet. Aquamarine on his way back from Spawn, looking for something. Too far away to make that happen. Full spot onto Bastion main, and Pwn with a pick onto Nolan might be enough here to turn the tide for Company 8. Adaptive shields worn through there for Hammermane, and a flip back. Yes.
This has not really been, I would say, a focused effort from either squad. It's been really a brawl back and forth as Moro trying to get a pick off, but with the pocket on Aquamarine, the Tracer's gonna have to retreat here and reset. And a nano boost available yet again. Who's the target this time? The Coalescence will be online shortly, and that's been so the target against the Pharah Mercy, using that to kind of pull them out of the sky.
Oh, Bastion with the early pickoff. Moro now out of it. Might not even need that nano boost here.
Oh no!
Just gently deposits the self-destruct onto the ledge. Probably not where they wanted that to go. Does at least clear the minefield. Now at 72% and climbing, and Gangster finds himself in the line of fire of Bastion. Just retreats into the safety of his supports, but Bastion inches his way forward and finds the follow-through and takes Gangster out of the fight. Moro, though, will find two. Flip's going to come through. The stick is good! Bastion is now down and out of the fight, and the kill starting to come back here for Company 8, looking for a very quick recontest. But Mobility Heroes are now here for Avoided. They can keep this going all the way to 99 and put themselves in the line of fire for that final fight territory. Pwn with the chase down, desperately wants this pick onto Nolan, will eventually find it. There's the barrage and the flip once more at 91 to 85.
I mean, despite that flip coming through, Company 8 never actually truly lost the fight. It was just more of a momentary recontest than anything else. And you can see now we are significant in the last fight territory, 95%. And oh, no touch.
That's huge. Might just get a touch. Yeah, Bastion able to tag on by taking a side route here. Now sets up in the Kirby, but Gangster knows exactly where he is, and he gets taken out of the fight. Big Riptire out of Aquamarine, but maybe too late as Pwn brings the Primal Rage online. There's the stick. No kill out of that one, but they've got the numbers on their side for now. Hammermane trying to keep the spin cycle going to keep this alive, but there's too much damage coming out of them. Bastion with the speed back to point with the configuration tank, and we are now at 1-1. One map separates Company 8 and a victory over Avoided.
such. I mean,
To 1.
back and forth has been incredibly descriptive of this control map so far, and I mean, we are going to head to well. And I said that this is where Company 8 may have the advantage, so we'll see if that comes to bear. But now, I mean, Avoided looking at their first loss in the face, only 1 round away. And remember, for Avoided to actually come back in the series, they have to win this map and then win 1 more. Company 8 have still some room for error, though they would like to put it away here and now and close out the series on this Ilios well.
It's been a longer series than I think anybody was really expecting. Company 8 coming into this with a 3-3 record did not look like the team to unseat Avoided, but they have completely turned that around with their adaptive style. Let's see if they can really ramp this up to the final map and take that much-deserved victory over Avoided. Obviously, Oric went out on the Genji for now, and a beautiful concussive blast takes Ham and Main out of the fight. We're back in that fairly quickly. Seeing Mora going toe-to-toe with Inbin on the back. He's desperately hunting down that kill. Will find it, but in the meantime, Bastion Main has been able to take whose toes are those out of the fight. Gangster now back in the race. In the early clip here for Avoid. They've not won the fight just yet, though, as Company 8 are still in this.
Mora's trying to get on this Bastion, but he's being chased out by the Roadhog.
Good,
very careful here.
Bastion Main finds Gangster, and I think now they've lost this fight, and they might just be at risk of feeding over ult charge here.
Yeah, I mean, the Genji has not found a ton of value. Oh, Vega gets back in the corner. Oh no, the head pops out for a moment.
Well, Mora with the equalizer there. Inbin is now down as well, and so close to having this Dragon Blade online. Unfortunately, Country Boy much further away from that. I know you really like being very heavily pressured. Yeah,
I mean, if you're Company 8, I think the Genji's getting value, but you're not able to really get a push in as a team because of the pickoffs in the backline, and this has been a real disaster here for Company 8. They're building up towards those DPS ultimates. A good start as they deny the tank yet again, but they need to get rid of Bastion Main here in the corner.
Configuration tank former online once more for Bastion Main. We're going to go toe-to-toe with the Mecha, whose toes are those. Will get the demech, and the kill comes through from Aquamarine. And now he finds himself in the line of fire as Country Boy gets the double and eliminates both DPS. And now it's time for the blade to come out. We'll find one as Cone gets the knockoff with the Hammond. And we're going to see... well, oh, actually, he managed to get his way out of that. I did think for a second there we were going to see Hammer Main just stuck in the pit for a while.
The retake on this now is going to be the real question, because walking into a Bastion is really difficult. Bastion walking into this air damage is also really tough. So if the Bastion can get, can be denied from sort of that entry throughput, then this is going to be, I think, for Company 8, a reasonable hold. But you really cannot be giving away kills like this.
Self-destruct comes out, but Nolan's able to just fade through it and also pick up the pick onto the Baby D.Va. Babe 1 went for the hook, couldn't find it, got boot. Gangster only finds one with a barrage before Aquamarine deals with them. And now between the Amplification Matrix and the Riptire, Avoided have control, and it's going to be difficult for them to be dislodged.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that D.Va play in the corner from whose toes are those. You need that denial on the Bastion as they enter, and instead it's going to be a late push. Now we are in last fight territory. It's going to be the alt-hook combo from Company 8, but, I mean, you need someone to touch. It's going to be Gangsta. If they're not careful, they're going to be blown up pretty easily. So you see Bastion in the corner here.
In over the top, he knows where they're coming from, and Country Boy goes down. They've got to try and win now a 5v6, a 4v6, a 3v6. This is not looking good. It looks like we're going to be going to that map number 6, LaFon.
Yep, for all the series, for everything left, that well was incredibly dominant by Avoided as they take the map here. Entire series up 2-2. We are headed to map number 6, as you said, for to find out who our winner is.
It's going to be another control map, either Busan or Paul. I think the maps we've got left here today. And given how Avoided have been looking so far in these final few maps, I do wonder if Company 8 are now out of gas, maybe just overtired from the length of the series this has been today.
Yeah, an extended series, certainly. We are going to head to Control, and I believe it's going to be Oasis as our map number 6. Draws no longer available to us, so this will be the last map of this series. Question is, how many rounds will we get to? Is it going to be
Oh,
2 or is it going to be all 3?
It's going to be 3. It's got to be 3, Lafon. I can't see this series going any other way. They've got to take us right down to 99-99 on the final map. That's the only true way for a map 6er to end.
I mean, this would be interesting because Company 8 selection, if they have something to bring to the table here in terms of what they want to bring, like in terms of composition or perhaps something to realize, there is actually a lot of available high ground for Bastion main to kind of work around. And I think this has been the difference between Avoided and Company 8. Avoided looks better when they can get Bastion main into position, because when Bastion main is kind of out of position, when he's not able to really get into a rotation that he likes, Avoided can't do anything. And this is not to say that that the rest of the team is not good or anything, or that they're failing at accomplishing anything. But the big problem is that Bastion main rather has provided so much damage throughput on the front line that it allows space for Aquamarine on the Junkrat to get into striking distance of the rest of the team. And so maps where you can rotate the Bastion into play, Avoided has succeeded. Maps where you can't, things have looked a little bit more difficult.
I think that was really well exemplified by their player on Anubis with the Symmetra in the lineup.
Yep.
They knew that they couldn't make just the standard rotation. Like, they couldn't just walk to a position where Bastion main was going to be useful. They had to have that sim to put Bastion main in a specific point to find value with him. So I think you're quite right to highlight that has been a real facet of how Avoided have been able to find these wins.
I mean, this map is really going to come down to, I think, Bastion main versus Gangsta. The Pharah versus the Bastion, see who comes out on top. Because while Gangsta has not been the one tasked with manning Bastion main, like he's not been the one who's sort of marked him man to man. It's been Moro who's been the one covering that kind of position. There's a lot more cover available here on Oasis in general, and I think even here on University, on this point specifically, it'll be doable. So I think here's where we have to kind of see, is Gangsta going to come back to life here on this map and take value in the air battle?
It feels only fitting that as we come into the final map set, we're going to see what has become a characteristic DPS lineup for both of these teams, the Pharah Junkrat against the Bastion Junkrat, with all the stakes that you just so eloquently outlined for us in this next round. So starting over on University, and a very quick exit out the gate there for Hammond main, just jipping past just streets.
I mean, Hammonds, they're not necessarily slow players. He's going to get the point first, and we can see Bastion main setting up on the flank as well. And I mean, this is just an eternal flank from Avoided here.
This is an entire team fight's worth of flank, because it is not working out whose toes are those being able to get the first pick. Although, okay, Slow and Steady maybe wins the race. Hammond main will get deleted here though, and the res brings Pwn back into the fight. So Bane1, Fan1 might have wished he was in that fight a little bit earlier to find the pick, because the flank did not pay off.
No, it did not. But I mean, it's a good reset from Company A to deny that entry, right? They have to kind of guide on out of spawn, because Bane1 is on literally the longest flank he can possibly get to.
And just gets so heavily red and focused down on the back of it as well. That's going to be depressing.
Life is going to be a little bit difficult for Country Boy 66 if things are going to continue this way, right? If you're going to have those mega flanks, because the Wrecking Ball can, unless you get the Sleep Dart, can deny you a lot of space.
It's like Bastion main currently debating where he wants to make the rotation. Not going to go for a rotation at all, just wants to get line of fire into the point and finds a Sleep Dart for his troubles. Sleep for now. Hammond main sets up the super spin cycle using the underneath terrain grapple that you sometimes see coming out there. There's the first pick. The Bastion main with the configuration tank takes more off the point, but we get a double pushback there as Gangsta and Whose Toes Are Those find a double. And now it's up to Gangsta on the high ground to try and pressure out those players currently playing on the high ground to stop them finding value. They hold on. It gets to about 2/3 capped here for Avoided, but still no flip for them. Bastion main will find one, and now Aquamarine sends the tire round the houses up onto the high ground and finds Gangsta. Still at 70% and climbing here for Company 8. Avoided are slowly winning this fight, but they've got to start converting this into point presence. Home goes down, but Moro has a tire ready to go. Looking to set it up the slope, will find Aquamarine, but the point has now flipped for Avoided.
But that being said, now the tanks can actually get in with dealing only 2 targets to spam rather than 3, right? It's going to be the Bastion and the Sigma who are really the targets to kind of watch out for, as Hammond main is taking so much damage in the entry.
Ooh, those adaptive shields are good, but they are not that good, my friend. And now we've got the barrage online ready to go with a 2-player advantage, all ready for Company 8. Whose toes are those? Finds Nola, gets the hook, gets the follow through. Bame one down, the point flips, and we are getting very close on to last fight territory.
Yeah, and this has been commanding from Company 8. Their denial of entry for both Heaven Main and Bastion Main has been spectacular. And honestly, Bastion Main, aside from that one fight, has not really found a lot of space to work with here.
Bastion Main has been struggling a little bit. Hammond Main will have the mines. It's the only ultimate they have ready to go. Nice dispersal, but the power drive up doesn't find too much. The nano boost coming through onto whose toes are those, but it's Aquamarine that gets the first pick of this exchange. At 99 to 27, Avoided need to win out this fight. They need a second pick very quickly. They have managed to flip here as Aquamarine takes Vega out of it. Bastion Main chasing down whose toes are those to help win out the fight, and that's never a fight that was going to go well for Country Boy 66.
Yeah, I mean, they're now trying to deny the Gravitic Flux here if you are Company 8, because they are very much in, I mean, last fight territory to win the round out. They are at 99%, and if they can get, you know, if they can deny Bame Fan won the Gravitic Flux here, then I think Company 8 has some space to work in, but it's going to be a tall order again, trying to get this Sigma out of position. Perhaps a halt hook to deny the entry.
There we go. The Gravitic Flux comes in. Will find 3. The Fortify is there to help bring Pwn out of it, but Bastion Main is able to convert that into a literal shooting gallery and start to round out this fight. Bastion Main's going to get chased out though, has to reposition. Very close to last fight for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, the mega flank there by Bastion Main was incredibly valuable. Early Riptire here, they want to deny a re-entry actually entirely from Company 8. Oh yeah, you're not getting that one.
Nice rocket from Gangster. And now, of course, ults definitely favor Company 8 here with the barrage and almost the Riptire on a line here for Morrow. We've got a supercharger here as well. Oh, Hammond Main pile drives it. Takes the tire off immediately. Whose toes are those goes for the whole hog, but of course Bastion Main with the boost there from Nolan just rips him to pieces. That's a fight win for Avoided. Gangster with the barrage, but to nothing. 99 to 100 as we move into the second sub-map.
And I mean, Avoided now one round away of bringing the reverse sweep back to fruition. An interrupted reverse sweep, but a reverse sweep nonetheless, as they are now one stage away. And I mean, allowing the Bastion to get into position on that flank was just disastrous for Company 8. It started a snowball that they never really could quite break. And I mean, you could see the shield giving so much value to, you know, denying the Roadhog, denying the hooks, and making life just generally miserable for Company 8 here. So certainly the Sigma looking particularly inspired of a selection after round 1.
Another map coming up in Gardens where high ground is available for Bastion Main, and he's proven himself very capable of getting into that quick enough 3. A real problem for Company 8. Mora starting out on the Tracer here, so maybe wants to go and contest that high ground early, using that burst of speed. Nice hook there from Whose Toes Those, but no real confidence on that. Gangster with the high ground.
For that first pick. Oh, Aquamarine so low. Zinman though, who goes down.
Yeah, great from Gangster finding Inven on that one. Beautiful sleep through onto Bastion Main, the follow up there from the rest of the DPS of Company 8. Looking to start to round things out here. You'll see this equalize a little bit as the rest comes through, and Aquamarine finds Country Boy. And Aquamarine takes Morrow down. Early flip here for Company 8, but they've still not quite won this decisively. There's a lot of avoidance still there in this fight, even as Aquamarine is forced out of the line of contestation by Gangster. Might have just put enough pressure in to stabilize here for Company 8.
Yeah, Morrow has been playing incredibly boldly on this Tracer into a Junkrat that doesn't... Yeah, just been playing incredibly aggressively. That's not paid off at all. Goes down first yet again, and this is now a 5v6 to start off the fight.
Oh, Bastion Main is just, he's so far back, but he's still pumping in so much damage that Company 8 can't afford to put any sort of pressure, any sort of presence above the parapet, or he will just find them and delete them from the game. We will see the flip here for Avoided, and they start to take control.
You almost have to wonder if Morrow's selection is kind of come to bear here. The Tracer has not found a ton of resource and a ton of value in this fight, and I mean, now with this round, you have to think, is perhaps the Junkrat being a better selection because the Tracer has not gotten a ton of value on this round at all.
Pulse Bomb ready to go here, but if Aquamarine can find even a small amount of value with this one, like an early pick onto Country Boy, then having the Pulse Bomb means basically nothing in this fight.
Yeah, the res was there, so... Oh.
Starting to see two trades happening here as Pone finds Bane 1, Fan 1. Toes of those with the hook and the follow through. Aquamarine now down and out of the fight. Looking good for a recontest here for Company 8, but Bastion Main still with the high ground, but he gets brute off by the concussive flats in the middle of the Oldham, and that's unfortunate if you're Bastion Main. Looking good now for Company 8 as they've got the kills in their favor. Nolan down. Kill onto Invin, and we're looking at a flip here, even as Bane 1 Fan 1 looks to get the recontest. He is just ult charge right now.
This is going to be now starting some progress up yet again. A great concussive blast there from Gangsta to deny deny Bastion Main his configuration tank. Who cares about damage resistance if you just send him off the side of the map, right? But now, I mean, the nano boost is available. Who's the target here? Is it going to be Aquamarine? Is it going to be Bastion Main? Are you going to try and get the Bastion position? Just trying to burn down the front line? Certainly very viable possible.
2 from Morrow. Bastion Main down. Nolan down. And that's going to be a reset here from Avoided. And it puts Company 8 in the lead on Gardens.
Yes, it does. And I mean, I was kind of implying that Morrow's Tracer there, not a great selection, but that was a great Pulse Bomb into a 3K. And allows, some progress to be built up. A fight won essentially for free with a great timing on the Tracer play.
They really couldn't have asked for a much of a better Pulse Bomb than that. Hammermain coming in for the Mive. No, going for the wraparound actually. Doesn't want to commit to it just yet. Has the info, knows where they are now. Much better position to drop in the minefield. There's the mine, there's the power drive, the Roadhog up. But Hammermain caught out there by the Halt and dragged back into the line of fire. Gangsta with the double here. Takes Company 8 up to 99%. Bastion Main caught out, didn't see the reposition there from Gangsta. Looking to try and get out of the line of fire, but it's not going to happen with the anti-nade over the top. And LaFon, we're going to a map 3. Who'd have thought it?
No one could possibly have seen this one coming after seeing the first 5 maps of this series, Phil. Not at all a shock. Heading into this last round, I mean, that last fight there, also I want to highlight one Pone and Country Boy combining for a Halt anti-nade that shut down that last fight, because the nano boosted Bastion is still pretty scary, but it allowed enough time for Gangsta to get the kill, and that's what got us to round number 3 here in our map number 6. And for all or nothing, here is the final stage of our series.
Avoided, playing for seeding, Company 8, playing for their lives in the playoff bracket. They need this win. They've got to keep their scoreline as high as they can in this next one, so they've got to pull out all the stops here as we move to the city centre. Main up onto the high ground, wants to contest the Pharmacy Duo, but can't really stay there long enough. Main now wants the 1v1 with Morrow, but struggling to find angles here.
Yep, over the top, the fire. I mean, he's trying to just get some more damage throughput, and well, that's a good start.
We get a 1-4-1 trade. No hog available here now for either team. Bastion Main did spend a little bit of time asleep there, but now has a relatively good position here. Can rotate fairly quickly between the front and the side of the point, but pressure there from Morrow, but not good enough as Bastion Main chases him down. And don't see a lot of Bastion kills whilst in Sensuad. And he just goes full on back towards spawn to stop whose toes are those getting anywhere closer. But overstays his welcome as Morrow makes the rotation and takes him out of the fight. Aquamarine still on the point. No flipping yet for anybody. And Company 8, they've been slow to this fight. They've half lost a couple, but they've got the kills now in their favor as Bane 1 is down. And they're looking to get the early cap here on 2 points.
I mean, Bastion Main on that mega flank actually ends up being a detriment rather than a boon. He does get the 1 kill, but with that information being given away, whose Toast of those buys enough time to get, to get the kill, and then Morrow gets resurrected. So, I mean, it's a long flank, and now you're trying to burn into essentially a bunker comp with, the Diva Orisa, and you have to fight against the aerial battle of Afara, who has a lot of cover on this map, and you have no real way to get to her.
In addition to the cover, she's got a Mercy in tow, and she's got a barrage all ready to go. There's the minefield. Probably not going to be too big an issue there for Gangsta, who can start to clear some of those mines for the rest of his team. There's the nano boost onto Gangster, as the barrage might not even need it there. Catches Bastion Main on the rotation. All of the barrage into Bastion Main, and 2 picks on the table now for Company A, even as the sleep comes through onto Gangster. You don't care all that much because you've taken the Bastion out of the fight. Nano boost Coalescence now on the table. Aquamarine able to take out the Riptire of Morrow and has one of his own ready to go up onto the high ground, finds Gangster. Vega likely still with the res available as Bastion Main aggresses back onto the point. Hammond Main looking for a pick here, but he's going toe-to-toe with the bulky form of the Diva. Res now comes through, will find the Power Driver looking for the follow-up damage onto the Fire, but can't make it work. We'll see Morris take himself out of the fight here, but Bastion Main always in the line of fire of Gangster here. I believe maybe even caught in a trap there as well. 70% on Rising now for Company 8, LaFon.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you need to start stabilizing here if you're Avoided, if you want to keep the series alive, if you want to keep this fight going. And with that halt onto Hammond Main, if they get this kill, yeah, he gets away for the moment. But I mean, what are you walking in with? Nothing. Bastion Main making a switch at the end. This feels like desperation right now from Avoided. They don't have anything to deal with. And last 10%, I mean, Company 8 looked like they have this one kind of closed out.
Oh, and they take out Bastion Main. It's a 5v6 in the final fight of the game. And you're walking into a supercharger, a nano boost, and you've also got the self-destruct in over the top. The self-destruct won't find too much, but Aquamarine is going to go down in all of the confusion. There's the rundown up close and personal with Invin. Won't find the kill just yet as the sleep comes through. Bastion Main now back on the Tracer, trying to get the D-Mech. Not quite able to find it, and will fall down tomorrow. Gangster flying casually through the middle of the point. Fame 1, Fan 1 throws in the whole hog, but there's nothing for it. And the underdogs in a stonking 6-map series take it at the last possible moment, LaFon.
I mean, Company 8, 3-3. They needed this win to complete their, to give themselves a chance at getting into the playoffs. And I mean, I did not see this one coming. I thought that Avoided definitely had the advantage here. The 6-0, they'd kind of been looking incredibly strong against teams that have played before, but here, Company 8 with an adapted composition, with a composition that felt like it was purpose-built to kind of deal with the spam that comes through from Avoided. And Company 8, they take the victory and put themselves at 4-3 and give themselves a real chance at confirming that top 4 all to themselves. And I mean, Company 8, they came in and looked a lot stronger than even I honestly expected them to be.
I mean, you and I were talking before this, and you know, it's gone 3 a.m. where I am right now. So I was looking at this going, Avoided 6-0, Company 8 3-3. That's cool. I'll be in bed by 2. Nope, not gonna happen. They take it the maximum possible distance they could on this one. And just a huge amount of credit all round to Company 8. And I feel like Morrow has been a real standout, going toe-to-toe with Aquamarine on the Junkrat, and then just pulling out almost every hero on the roster to pretty great effect. He's been a real key element of Company 8's success today.
Yeah, a standout for sure. Looking incredibly dominant on the DPS, on the Flex DPS look. And I mean, Flex DPS is a term that we have to use loosely here because it felt like all of Company 8, like Company 8 selections were flexible. This really felt like Company 8 stepping up to what Avoid was trying to run. And over time, we've always asked, is there a way to kind of deny these sort of not one-dimensional, these sort of purpose-built compositions that teams like Avoided run? Is there ways sort of to deal with those kind of teams? And it felt like Company 8 drew up something they thought they could really go toe-to-toe with, and they were absolutely correct. They got the victory here off the back of a unique example of Pharah Junkrat just to come in and provide a ton of spam damage that Avoided had no way of denying or responding to early in the series, and then obviously closing out the map, closing out the round with more of the same.
A lot of very useful footage here on Avoided for the rest of the teams in the Prospect Cup. So expect this to be a hot property VOD in the next few days as people study up on how to take down Avoided. But outside of a couple of tiebreakers left to play, this is going to be the end of the group stages, and next we look forward to moving off into the playoff brackets proper in the Nocturne GG Prospect Cup. We're not going to be moving on to that today. The teams, myself, LaFon, all the production staff, we need a break, we need a rest, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming and joining us today. And LaFon, before we say goodbye, Any last words?
Honestly, no. Just great Overwatch watch today, and I've had so much fun watching Prospect Cup, and I can't wait to see what the playoffs bring for us.
Great. Thanks, and good night, everybody.